Welcome to this episode of Sustainability Karma. I'm your host Naina Gautam. Today I bring to you a very special edition of Sustainability Karma. As 2024 draws to a close, we reflect on a year marked by unprecedented but necessary focus on sustainability and climate change. We at Sustainability Karma on Air, which is India's first and only show on sustainable development, have tried to bring these critical issues to the forefront, featuring insights from India's and in fact world's top most academics, diplomats, industry leaders, influencers, ministers, NGO representatives, Nobel laureates, policymakers, public health specialists, and UN heads. The conversations we had with them have been nothing short of an eye-opener. As we look back at 2024 and now ahead at 2025, we are inspired more than ever to continue this crucial dialogue and drive meaningful change for our planet's sustainable future.
Is the largest population in the world, and making that impact on sustainability, it takes a big deal. I think a lot of evolved and developed nations are still doing that, and they are in the process to do it. Why?
Look, I think that it's all about the private sector, really, ultimately, and that's not just India. That's every country across the world. We know that. The days when we thought that, for example, international development assistance was the key, even the multilateral development banks was the key.
Look, I think SDG 7, which deals with energy access, I think, look, we're already doing a lot. If you think about it, India has the world's single largest grid, which is now going to every single village.
Industry is getting more and more aware. And as I said, I would advise them to look at CSR, put big targets.
So I would say that with all the problems that we are facing on our planet, whether it is environmental problems or social problems, environmental problems, obviously it's said that we've got a triple planetary emergency. We've got climate change, we've got species extinction, deforestation, air pollution, plastics pollution.
Collaboration, we need to encourage cooperation and partnership at all levels, from local communities to international organizations. SDGs are interconnected and solving complex global challenges requires working together.
First and foremost, it's very important that the commitment comes top down. The leadership must be committed to ESG transformation. In 2020, when we decided that ESG is the way to go, today companies are valued on their ESG.
Pretty serious, because if you're the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases, it's up there at the top, right? So the whole world is going to look at the top 3, the top 5 countries for both commitments, accomplishments, direction. It has to come from these countries.
One is that I think it's extremely crucial and important for us as individuals to determine where we want to allocate our savings and what that we want to invest in. And if I truly...
As you know, India has the potential to create 35 million green jobs by 2047. And with the green skills, we mean renewable energy, waste management, electric vehicles, sustainable textiles, and green construction.
And India is home to 1/6 of all humanity, and therefore a key stakeholder to the success of the 2030 agenda.
So, based on some of my humble experiences, I strongly believe that we have to learn to become the friends of children. Let us create a child-friendly environment at our home, in schools, in neighborhoods, everywhere.
I personally believe that technology and finance, coupled with climate governance, will help prompt the actions required to address climate change.
2 hard factors to work on and some soft ones. The hard ones is to develop the technology of green hydrogen. The second one is battery technology.
With the will on both sides really to dig into some of the biggest challenges of our time, namely the climate. And when we started looking into how we could combine the scale of India and the skills of Denmark, then the idea came to set up this green strategic
Oil
partnership.
is the heart of EV because it's a fuel of EVs, and you have to make the fuel cheaper than the alternative, which is petrol, right? So the cheaper the fuel becomes, the more affordable EVs become.
I think we've, as a society, sort of gone through several evolutions over the last, say, 40 years, kind of the time frame within which I've been working on this. And now, we have terminology like diversity, equity, and inclusion, and so forth. And now ESG, and I think one of the other things that has characterized this space is the evolution of buzzwords.
India really seeking to focus and on the environment. I think we are on track. India is on track on SDG 12 on sustainable consumption and production, which is really.
Indian industry, especially the large players, are beginning to walk the talk. And they want to be seen as players, and they are doing as much as they can within their resources to reduce pollution and to find innovative ways to be able to cut costs, but also reduce pollution. So I have no doubt that they are.
I just want to, talk about what RBI has already called out. Climate finance as one of the key risks that all banks should be looking at this point in time.
Investors, by definition, people who invest across markets. So the same people are driving the agenda in places like the European Union or Canada are the same ones who are also asking for better performance on ESG, even in the Indian context. But if you look at Indian investors, I think it's still early days.
We came a long way because I've been involved right from the beginning when corporate governance was first introduced, and we did a lot of work in this area. At that time, we had no go-to place to go. In India, we had to go internationally to find out good practices. But I think India has come along.
Global warming will result in a number of health problems. People are wilting in that heat and getting very sick or even dying from heat. We also know that global warming and climate change result in a number of vector-borne diseases, especially mosquito-borne diseases.
The pace of progress, I think, falls short globally. Not only in India, falls short globally to achieve the target set for 2030. See, these custodians, SDG 7 custodians agencies have time and again emphasized the need to intensify our efforts towards achieving the 2030 goals.
The fact that ESG is now so commonly talked about itself is a huge step forward.
We are actually, as an organization, working on a national stainless steel policy, because we feel that stainless steel industry now has such a big stay in the country, has a huge requirement coming in all industries. So we are actually trying to work with the government and steel ministry to come up with a national stainless steel policy.
Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, as we know, provides a framework that greatly incentivizes private sector engagement in the international carbon markets by allowing cross-border carbon trading under Article 6.2 or under Article 6.4 of the Paris Agreement.
India has been the fast-growing economy and pace setter for a number of years now. China had that mantle during 1980 to 2020. I think India has it.
So what kind of a role do creative people like filmmakers have in addressing these challenges, like water scarcity, health issues?
Well, I think any issue needs strong communication. And I think that people who are from the creative fields are generally good communicators. That's what they're trained in. That's what they do for a living. So I think that's a strength that creative people bring.
$1 trillion is a number that comes actually from some work I've been doing with Amar Bhattacharya and with Vera Songway for the presidencies of the COP.
Climate education into curriculum can empower children with knowledge and foster responsible behavior, right?
Development.
Well, the private sector is a very important ally because by no means is development limited to only the state. Its role is in facilitating and driving many of these changes, but there are very many development objectives which can only be met if the private sector in India
start including things about emotional vocabulary, and there's lots of research done, and there are lots of ways in which we can teach children to take care of their emotional well-being.
Climate tech, in my view, broadly speaking,
there's a lot to do. I also believe that what as a society we do is incremental in nature.
We are not endowed with it. So what India has been doing well is really partnering, because if you don't have it, you partner with people.
What are the main achievements of COP29 so far? What more do you expect?
There is one main achievement, that was the agreement of the rules for the global carbon market as to how nations can cooperate to trade carbon credits. These will provide substantial money, particularly from tech companies.
So, I take the long view, because infrastructure by default requires a very long-term thinking, right?
Corporate sustainability are number one. India has more than around 60 million MSMEs. Our MSMEs, number one, there is a lack of awareness. They do not know how to really adopt these measures.
We wish you all a sustainable 2025 and urge you to join Sustainability Karma in this journey.